So how is it going, everyone? Welcome back to the League of Europe. I'm your host, Jaco, in case you don't know me already. In case you are new to the channel, then obviously feel free to hit that subscribe button. But as I said, my name is Jaco. I will be your commentator for Division 3 for tonight. Um, Before we get into qualifying, we've got to go through a hot lap, and it is done by none other than Mr. Gary Donegan. So let's go straight into the lap. And there you have it. That is the lap done for Division 3. As I said, thank you very much to Gary for doing that lap for me. If you guys also want to send in your laps for the last coming, I think it's 3 races now, then you are more than welcome to. All you've got to do is just upload your lap on YouTube, send it over to myself in the Discord, and then you have the chance to be featured on the new have the chance to just be featured on the stream. But so looking at qualifying already, it's looking a bit gloomy out there. So I'm kind of interested to see if it's going to be wet weather. Of course, we've had this 2-week hiatus. So well, I say 2 weeks. It's only a week, but it's been 2 weeks since actually the last live stream. So welcome back to everybody. Hope everyone had a nice little break. But yeah, as I said, at the moment, it's all looking quite close together. The likes of Heated, LFC has returned, by the way, so welcome back to LFC. You've got the likes of Adri and Smitsky both on the hards. Big W doing his time on the hards as well. Cloudy Club doing his time on the softs. A few guys on the softs. Both actually, Toro Rosso's done theirs on the softs. And a couple of different drivers. So we have New Zealand Cam, who I think he only raced 1 race so far in Canada. So he's also racing today, so welcome back to him. As I said, LFC is back. Craigie, the reserve driver that could, he's back as well. Brett Bank as well. Oh, in fact, sorry, he's full-time in Ferrari, isn't he? My apologies. Jasper is also in here. And then, of course, we have all of our championship rivals, other than Ivor Bryn Mike. So Mike isn't racing tonight, which is a very strange one. Because Mike is also battling in this championship, along with this man on your screen right here, with Craigie actually crashing out at turn 11, or turn 10 even, sorry, so I don't understand how he's done that. So, unless he ends up joining halfway through quali, who knows what can happen? Who knows what can happen? But Adri's looking like he's gearing up to go around for another lap around the German circuit. So we'll just stick on board with him, and whilst I'm doing that, I'm just going to read out what the results are so far. So bear with me 1 second. I'm quiet. Wait, you typed that whilst I was on board with yourself, Adri? Okay. It should be a bit better now. I'll turn this back up a little bit. But yeah, as I said, just getting the results up for you guys now. Of course, all I know at the moment is this man that's on your screen is still your championship leader. Here we go, standings. So, and the only other thing I know as well is Adri could actually clinch the title today. So, believe it or not. So, here we go. Adri is currently sitting on a whopping 192 points. As I said, there's 4 races to go, which includes this one. Now, if Adri wins the race and James comes... and Adri would need the fastest lap as well, by the way. James would have to come... I'm really struggling to just try and find it. So 17 points, 26, that's 9. So James would need to be down in 7th or lower, because I believe he is the one that's currently in 2nd. Yeah, Eduk is the one that's currently in 3rd. So if James and Eduk come 7th and 9th, or 7th and 8th, sorry, regardless if Adri... No, it would be 7th and 9th, sorry. Adri can win that title because Iberbryn Mike hasn't actually shown today either. And also Big W's still within that title fight as well. He's been having pretty good races as of late. So if he is to come... Big W would need to come above 10th as well. Actually, is he in that title fight still? Oh, he's only hanging on by a thread. So Big W would need to be a lot higher if he wants any chance of at least being in that championship fight still. If he doesn't get a good result today, he's out of it, and it's probably only going to be left down to just James. As I said, Eduk is also here as well tonight. He's currently sitting in P6, so he's doing decent at the moment. Adri, our championship leader, is sitting in 11th, but he has only done his times on the hard tyres. In fact, let's have a look. What's the best one so far? So Big W is actually best one. Is a 13.1 on the set of the hards. Edux is 13.2 on the set of the hards. Aledi's 13.4, so the 2 racing points looking rather even at this track tonight. Jasper is the 4th fastest one on the hards, so interesting one. Again, we'll have to just keep an eye on these standings. We'll have to keep an eye on the places. As I said, all Adri's got to do is really win and just hope that everybody else behind him that are in this championship battle have an absolute mare. Or just cause a lot of chaos. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. Just sticking on board with LFC as he's just about to come up towards the line. He does a 12.4 on a set of the softs, so not a bad time from the man in orange. But here's another man that goes under the radar a lot of the time as well, and it's Mr. Wuta. I do try and keep him pointed out because I know he is definitely an underdog within this. As I said, the man in the Mercedes, he's currently sitting... Where is he sitting at the moment? He's 8th in the championship. He is on 103 points. Funnily enough, the last one that's got the triple digits as well. He's only 2 points behind Nico, and Nico isn't actually in this race tonight either. So he has a chance to go past Nico, and I think he also has the chance to go past MCR as well, because MCR isn't racing either. So Mr. Wuta has that chance. If he gets a decent result here, maybe he would only really need 4th or 3rd. 4th with the fastest lap, just to overtake MCR and ends up going 6th in the championship. So we'll keep our eyes on the Dutchman as he makes his way into the pits. But we'll go on board with Aledi, who I think is actually on a lap at the moment. On 2-lap old hard tyres. But let's just see, who else have we got also in contention with this? So, with in regards to the constructors, Here we go. Renault are the ones that are at the top of it at the moment. They're on 242 points, with Red Bull being on 228. And with none of the Red Bull drivers actually being here, if both the Renaults come 1 and 2, I believe that's constructors over. No, that isn't. That's not right. Hang on. So that's 57 points over the course of 3 races. It will make it difficult for the Red Bulls to come back, but basically all it takes is just one of these Renaults to get a good result, and you can see them really take that championship, along with taking the Drivers' Championship with the man in the Spaniard in the Renault. But got quite a few people in the chat. Mark saying deck share racing from Adri. Just keeping it on the lowdown. Ghost saying no grip crash, so don't expect anything from me. Nicely done. I can see that you are out of the qualifying as well. Ibo, am I still in contention? Unfortunately, you're not. It was only last race you ended up bottling out of it. But unfortunately, you are out of contention for the championship, Ibo. Morgan, evening bottle Carl. Hello, hello, hello. I'm looking forward to beating you later on. Take that how you will. But we've actually got James on a lap now on the set of the mediums. In fact, he's not on a lap. I think he must have just done that lap. Yeah, he done that lap on the medium. So good lap from the man in the Haas. We'll see if anyone else can try and say something about that. You've got Adri out on a hot out lap now on the mediums. A lot of these guys are now just making their way out, because this is now the business side of the qualifying. Better change that stream title as well, because for some unknown reason that's wrong. There we go, that should change on everyone's side now. But Edok, he's the one that's currently on a lap at the moment on the set of the medium, so we'll stick on board with him. As I said, the man in the 3rd place in the championship at the moment. So as I said, we'll ride on board with the man in the Racing Point. We'll see if he can actually end up overtaking James, because this is really important. They're only 2 points, well, Edok is only 2 points behind James, and the 2nd through to, I think it was 6th or 7th. 2nd down to 7th is split by 29 points. 8th even, sorry, is split that, by 29 points. So all it takes is one mess up from someone in this race, and with obviously Nico and Ivor Brimite being in that top, the 2nd through 8th, with them not attending, they could drop all the way down. They both could drop down to 7th and 8th in the championship. MCR as well not being in there. This gives Mr. Witter a great opportunity to try and make his way into the top 5 of the championship. Could even potentially pass Big W if he ends up crashing out as well. But I've just seen the Breadbank has just set the fastest lap on a set of the soft compounder tyre. I'm going to stick on board with Frey as well, because he is also on a set of the soft tyres. So we'll see how the Spaniard in the Toro Rosso ends up getting on. I've just realised there are still a lot of Spaniards in this division. And it looks like the Banana Spaniard is the one that's coming out on top. But Frey looks to be jumping around nearly everywhere on my screen. But let's just see, what will his lap time be as he is coming up towards the line now. He doesn't... Oh, he did improve. He does a 13.0. Good lap from him. Adri, a 12.3 on a set of the mediums. What a lap time from him. Very good lap from him. Will any of his championship rivals be able to counter that, though? Eduk is now on man on a charge. There we go. He's coming around the final corner now. What does he do as his lap time? It's a 12.5. Still has not managed to go faster than Adri. But this man here, he's on a set of the soft tyres. Again, a championship contender. Now going for his lap on a set of the soft compounder tyre. Will he cut it in turn 1? Did manage to take that a little bit clean. It slid down a little bit. Just took a little bit of slide as well. But it doesn't look like it's hampered him that much at all. Smitsky is now also on his lap on a set of the mediums. Remember, if both of these Renaults actually get a decent result, it would take one of them to at least win the race. then they can win the constructors as well as the drivers' championship with Adri doing it. Here we go, Smitsky coming up towards the line. Does he improve on his time? It was a 1:13.4 and it's looking like it is going to be an improvement. What does he do? He does a 13.0. Only goes just ahead of Frey. Splits between James and Frey, both on the soft tyres. Now, James, where is he going to end up? Because I know he was only just behind Smitsky. Here we go. Does he cross the line and go on pole? No, he doesn't. He only goes in the P2 and does a 12.0. I believe Adri is now out on another lap as well, and he is currently 2 tenths up on his lap. So this could he could potentially be in the 11s on these sets of mediums. But don't forget Big W as well. I've only just seen that. He's only 4 thousandths of a second behind Adri. Wow. That is very close between the pair of them. But here we go. Adri, our championship leader, now comes up to the line. He does a 12.1. He does improve, but he has to stay in that position. He is only P4. LFC goes ahead of his teammate. Big W isn't looking like he's going to improve anytime soon either. So we'll go on board with Heated. He is not actually on a lap either. Smitsky is also not on a lap. So the Bread Bank takes yet another pole position. It's a good lap, 11.7 from him. With James taking that second spot, I think starting on the inside as well. Once again, another good lap with New Zealand Cam is going to be starting in P3. Adri, the highest medium runner in P4. LFC splits between Adri and Big W. That's for P5 and for P6. Aledi is in P7, actually bested his teammate. So good job from Aledi in P7. Frey is in 8th on the centre softs as well. Enoch in 9th with Heated rounding out that top 10. Then you've got Smitsky who is down in 11th. He could have a bit of an advantage on this one as well because he could go for the reverse strategy. He's just got to make sure he keeps it clean throughout. Mr. Wuta is down in 12th. So kind of a shock result that he's all the way down there with Kursk as well down in 13th. Cloudy Cloud down in 14th with Jasper in 15th. Again, not where Jasper usually is. And Imo is down in 16th, with the only ones that haven't set their laps was Dave, Ghost, and Craigie. So there you go. As I said, there are your your qualifying results. All of those top 10 are within a second of each other. As I said, Smitsky gets that is the first one to get the opportunity for whichever tyre he wants to start on, along with all of the other guys as well. So as I said, we will keep an eye out on who will be able to get the advantage off of the start. You got to think with LFC being in 5th on those set of softs, with Frey being in 8th on those set of softs, and I believe Heated in 10th on those set of softs. They're going to have a better start than what the other guys will, but it's just whether they can actually capitalise on it or if they end up bailing out of it. Heated, I wanted to go onto the mediums. Oh, was that lap? No, yeah, that lap was done on the softs then. You tried to sandbag. Okay, I see. Try to sandbag the lap, but it didn't work out. So let's have a look. What tyres have these guys at the back gone with? Majority of them have gone with the hard tyre. The only ones that have gone with mediums is Craigie and Wakursk. So they'll be ones to keep an eye out on the back. And we will see if they end up actually going ahead of those guys that are starting on the hard compounded tyre. Just check the chat again. We've got Jesse back in here. Hello, hello, Jesse. Jasper Hype as always. Why does there 1, 2, and a 4? Did someone lag out of the lobby? I get the feeling someone's lagged out of the lobby. New Zealand Cam's controller broke. Oh, right, okay, got ya. Oh, that's unfortunate. He was, oh, that's who it was that lagged out, yeah. P3. He done so well in qualifying as well for his for a race back. I said starting in P3, so unfortunate for Cam. Hopefully he can get that sorted out for next week's race. But we have now got all of these drivers now just making their way up towards the line. Literally, you can just see it in the background from the shot. Just look at how beautiful this game does look. It may not work as well as we want it to, but it does look very good. In fact. So here we go. We have got the 5 red lights. And away the drivers go. Breadbank looks like he's got off to a great start, but James looks like he's got off to an even better start than what these guys have. Big W, I think LFC's also gotten a good start. In the background, both Big W and Adri both battling out for P4. Big W looks like he's got the edge at the moment. James also looks like he's got the edge ahead of the Breadbank, but both still side by side going in towards turn 2. Who's going to take the advantage of that one? Adri has actually dropped down into P6 already, been overtaken by Aledi. Is now being pressured by Heated. This is for P7 as well. His rivals Big W and... well, Edok is actually already just behind him, but Adri going side by side with Heated as well, coming up towards the hairpin. How is this going to look coming up towards this? Adri has also lost yet another place to Edok as well, and is already side by side with Wakursk. Wakursk moves himself up into P8, where Adri's now all the way down into P9 despite qualifying in P4, moved up to P3 because of Cam lagging out of session. Wow. That's shocking. I'm really shocked that he's done that. He must be just trying to keep his nose clean and just keep on that championship contention. Must have just been trying to keep his nose clean. But I did see a bit of wing just fly off then. I don't know whose wing that was. And there's yellows in sector 3. Big W is dropping down the places, so I don't know if it is him. But someone's definitely got wing damage. LFC goes very wide. Eduk just sort of trying to avoid everyone as best as they can. And that's Wakursk into the pits. Now, is there anyone else with damage? I think LFC is the one with damage. And I think Heated has a bit of damage. No, Heated definitely hasn't got any damage. But the LFC has just gone off of the racing track. Heated has just pushed Eduk off of the track. I don't know what Eduk was trying to do there. I think he was trying to go to the outside, but is now just drifting everywhere off the track. And now Adri is past one of his championship rivals. So that is actually now up into P9. Eduk is down into 10th. But Big W has done very well to do this. But Aledi, out of nowhere, is up into P3. So we will have to keep an eye on Aledi throughout that. Eduk is dropping down the standings, and he has spun at the hairpin. Now, I don't know if he had a collision with Adri, because I think Adri was going down the order a little bit as well. But Cloudy Cloud now up into P11 and looking to see if he can try and challenge Adri. But he has got that wing damage. Ghost, I don't know if he's got himself any wing damage, but he is trying to make his way up through the pack as well. There's yellows, and I think Frey has... I don't know what happened with Frey, but he's just gone straight onto the grass. He's just spun in front of Ghost, and he's just taken Ghost with him. Oh, it's unfortunate. Eduk is actually out of the session. Eduk is... I don't know what happened. What happened to Eduk? I honestly don't know what's just happened to Edok, but I also can see it doesn't look as if that Dave and Andrew can see each other, because it looked as if they were just mounting each other. But there is a virtual safety car that is out. What just happened? There we go. We are back to racing once again. I don't know what just happened throughout all of that. But Andrew's just swooped straight past Dave. That was very odd. Very odd to say the least. Has Jasper got himself wing damage? No, Jasper hasn't got any wing damage. He's just cruising around down in P4, P14 at the moment without that wing damage. But that was something for sure. Already the gaps are just built out massively. Frey's retired from the session along with Eduk. I think when Frey caused that spit, or when Frey spun, Ghost obviously went into him, and then I think Eduk must have gone straight into the back of Ghost. It's the only thing I can think of. Heated has actually, I don't know if he's just lagged out of the session or just left the session, but he was doing well in P5. He's got an error. Can I invite him back? I haven't got the option to invite him back, so unfortunately I can't actually invite Heated. If anyone in the race is able to invite Heated, then please do so. Meanwhile, Adri is making his way back up through the field. He's now up in the P7, and he's going to be challenging Mr. Wooter anytime soon to try and take back that P6. Mr. Wooter done well off the line as well to get up into P6, despite what had happened towards the back end of that grid. But Big W is now trying to see if he could try and challenge Aledi. However, Aledi, the fastest now, or the top of the medium runners, he could be on for, I think this would be his first race win in LOE. I will just double check that before I confirm that. I wasn't confident with saying that, to be honest with you, because I feel like he has actually won a race before. But you can see already these soft tyres are starting to go off. Aledi is already all over the back of James, and Big W is now within that DRS as well, so we could have a bit of a DRS train going on just from lap 4. But Breadbank has already pushed that gap out to about 2.5 seconds from these medium runners. Here we go, let's just double check. Has Aledi won a race yet? He's come third, so third is Aledi's best result, which is where he's currently sitting now. But it shouldn't be for long, considering that these guys are going to have to make their, well, they have to make a pit stop very shortly. Here we go. Aledi not able to get past James, but he is all over the back of him. Oh, he has a little bit of a slide coming out of the hairpin as well. It's going to compromise his run, but Big W is not close enough to try and capitalise on that. Heated still not back in the session. It's just dropping down the order once again as well. And I don't know if he's actually back in the session as of yet either. But James has all of a sudden caught up to the back of the bread bank. He is now back in the session, so that's good to see with that. But yeah, I don't know what's just happened with the bread bank. He was about nearly 2 seconds ahead of James, and now he's dropped down significantly. Oh, here we go. Bread bank into the pits. Does James make his way into the pits? James does. So we will now have a change of leader. Aledi will now be the one leading the race, but it doesn't look as if it will be for long, as Big W is all over the back of the racing point, challenging him to see if he can go past him. He has got that DRS wide open. We will be able to get the move done in towards turn 2. No, he doesn't. He's just going to remain out behind him for now. But that long run down towards turn 5 hairpin, will he be able to get that move done? Here we go. DRS now open for the Aussie. Will he be able to get this move done? I'm going to stick on board with him. He doesn't look as if he's close enough to even attempt to go for a move, and he's just going to have to stay behind the racing point for now. Aledi is now your race leader. Meanwhile, in the background, I have just seen Mr. Wooter and Adri. Ghost has actually just retired from the session. I'm going to see if I can go on board with Ibo to see whereabouts that is, because I honestly don't know whereabouts. I'm guessing because it's Sector 1, it's going to be Turn 1. Here we go. From Ibo's point of view, where has Ghost crashed? It is at Turn 1, at the Bottas spot. But here we go, Big W now still all over the back of Aledi. He is going to want some redemption from what happened previously. Ghost has just left the session. But Big W still not able to get close enough to Aledi. I don't know if he's just doing a bit of ERS saving compared to what Aledi is, because he's on about 85% ERS, whereas Aledi's on 40%. But Big W still not able to capitalise on it and is still nowhere near to getting past him. Meanwhile, Adri does get past Mr. Witter. I think Mr. Witter just slightly backed off there. And Adri now into P3, despite what had happened at the start. And he's now going to be making that charge up towards those front two. Remember, if Big W does not have a good finish because he is already out of the race, if Big W ends up crashing somewhere and Adri does take that win, then he will be your championship winner for Division 3. So again, it's something we're going to have to try and keep an eye out on throughout the race. But at the moment, Big W looks like he's doing a good job, just sort of slotting in behind Aledi at the moment. As Adri's now set the fastest lap of the race, he is pumping in them times to try and catch up to these top two. As there are yellows in Sector 3, it looks like it's Craigie. He has just lost 2 positions. He is dropping down that order, but I'm actually just going to stick on board with this battle because Big W, it looks like he's closer than ever to try and get past Aledi. Here we go. DRS now open, going towards the inside, going around the outside. Aledi keeping that inside line, both side by side now going in through the hairpin. Big W's just had to sort of cut off it a bit, and that's now, and he's not been able to make that move. Big W is just going to have to remain down in P2. Aledi, good defending, stays in the race lead. Plus, penalties can actually play a big factor into this as well. James managing to get past Smitsky, but remember, James has got to make that second stop again, but Smitsky also does have to make that stop. So wherever James and Breadbank come out is where they will more than likely stick throughout the rest of the race, as the Breadbank is pressuring and is all over the back of Dave. This is for P5 in the race, and this will be a P5, considering they've already made their first stop. So will the Breadbank be able to get past Dave ASAP? He's going to have to if he wants any chance of trying to get a podium in this race. But there are so many battles I need to keep on watching. Adri's pumped in yet another fastest lap. There we go, Breadbank DRS now open. Is he going to go for a move in towards turn 1? He doesn't, he thinks better of it. He just backs off for now. Will he go for a move in towards turn 2 though? Goes very wide coming out the exit of turn 1. Does he go for that move in turn 2? He's looking at it, he's looking at it. He doesn't end up going for that move. So he just slots in behind him for now. Big W doesn't look as if he is close enough to trying to get a move done on Aledi once again. So Aledi has done enough just to keep in that race lead. Meanwhile, Breadbank now going around the outside of Dave, up towards the hairpin. He manages to get past him on the break, and that's now him into P5. Does Dave go for a late break? No, he doesn't. Dave slots into P6. Breadbank now up into P5 and is looking to see if he can try and chase down Mr. Wooter. So good move from the Breadbank. But meanwhile, Heated now back in the session is looking to see if he can try and put a bit of pressure on LFC. He goes a bit too deep into the corner, just compromising his run. LFC gets the nice wide line out of that, and he's just remaining in P10. But at the moment, James and Dave have actually swapped places, so a bit of a teammate advantage here. James is now looking to see if he can try and catch up towards the back of Breadbank. Meanwhile, Big W and Aledi looks like we're going side by side in towards turn 1. Just had to slot in behind at the moment, but Aledi now going defensive once again in towards turn 2. Big W now actually going for this move in towards turn 2. Is get the better traction out of that corner, but he's having to stick behind him for now. But now definitely close enough. Surely you've got to think that this is going to be a move for the Aussie. Down the inside, now leading towards the outside. Aledi, that is him down in the P2. Big W is now your race leader. But will he be able to stay there for now? Because Aledi is looking quite quick. He does get a bit of a bit too early on the throttle, and he's compromised that run massively. He was only just behind Big W. He's now 6/10 behind him. He is still within that DRS range, but with how quick Big W has been going, that is him now down into second, and he's already losing a hell of a lot of time. Meanwhile, it has just crashed in the race. I'm going to see if I can see it from Craigie's Ghost point of view, because I don't know whereabouts he's binned it. Oh, it was at turn 4. Oh dear. Unlucky for Heated. He was having a pretty good race as well, but look, Big W has already pulled out that gap 1.5 seconds from Aledi, and Big W sets the fastest lap of the race. James did set that fastest lap of the race last lap. I did manage to catch my eye on that. But this battle between Bredbank and James, this doesn't look like it's going to calm down anytime soon. These two were battling for the lead of the race before they had to make their pit stop. And now it looks like James has caught right back up to him, but going wide at turn 1 is not going to help. He's just having to slot in behind him for now. But with this DRS wide open for James, will he be able to make that move done in towards the hairpin? We're going to stick on board with him. He has got a lot of straight line speed. It's just swerving everyone on the track, trying to put off where the Bredbank is going. He's just swoops past it down the inside. Although the Bredbank goes for an absolute lunge in the hairpin, compromises that massively, and that is James now up into P5. It was a good battle. It was a good attempt for Bredbank, but as I said, James now up into P5, and he's now going to try and see if he can chase down the likes of Mr. Wooter. So a good move from James to get that P3, to get that P5, shall I say. Also, another thing as well, I've just realised, James and Bredbank are going to be going on the set of the mediums as their final stint. The rest of these guys on the mediums are going to be going on the set of the hards. So it depends on where these guys could end up coming out in relation to when these guys make their pit stops as well. James and Bredbank could be on for a really good result with that 2-stop. Again, something we will have to try and keep our eyes on. But Aledi still not closing that gap up to Big W. Still has not got that DRS to the man in the McLaren. Although it does look as if his straight line speed is a lot quicker than Big W's. So maybe on the straights is where he can try and make up that time. In that background there, you did just see Adri. So again, something we're going to have to try and keep our eyes on. Meanwhile, the battle with the two Alphas. Jasper is just still, he's in the DRS range of his teammate of Cloudy Cloud. Both have already made one stop as well. I think from that first lap drama. So here we go, keeping an eye on Jasper. I think Cloudy Cloud is just going to let him by. He's put his 0 ERS, and that is him through. Yeah, that is him saying see you later. So Jasper now into P11. Bit of a lock-up going towards the hairpin, but that is that move done. Jasper now in 11. Let's see if he can try and chase down LFC. But Big W is just making that gap up from Aledi massively. It's now 1.5 seconds. He has made that gap up. Meanwhile, Adri is bringing that gap down. So Aledi really has got to start pushing in them lap times. He's got to try and see if he can match these guys in P3 and in P1. Cloudy Cloud picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. Is looking like he is getting himself back into this DRS. Aledi. He's now 1.2 seconds behind, and as I said, I said he starts pumping in them lap times, and he is starting to do so. As I said, he is on the brink of getting that DRS from the Aussie up ahead of him. It's ever so close, but I don't think he's actually in that DRS. He isn't, but I know that Aledi is quick in the straight. It's just when it comes to Sector 3, it's a bit of a situation for him. Yeah, he won't have the DRS going in through up towards the hairpin. So Aledi has got to do this purely on speed. And I don't mean the drug. But Aledi's still not close enough and still not within that DRS range. Meanwhile, you do see Adri in that background. He is looking like he's starting to drop a little bit of time to these top two guys as well. And Aledi looking like he is starting to make up that time to Big W. So maybe Big W is running higher wings than what Aledi is. So Sector 3 is probably going to be Big W's advantage. to try and make up more of that time. I mean, it looks like always on the exit of the final 2 corners, he makes up a massive amount of time compared to what Aledi does, so it just looks like that's where his advantage does lie. As they actually make their way into the pits, will Adri follow them into the pits, however? He doesn't, so he's staying up for another lap. So this is where it gets interesting. So our top 2 are making their way into the pits. But the question is, who's ahead of each other? Who will be ahead of each other? Big W gets out. Where's Aledi? Aledi now comes out. I think he got held up in the pits a bit as well. So James is now past the pair of them. But again, he's still got to make yet another pit stop. Bredbank picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. Adri is now your race leader. And they're actually side by side with Bredbank and Big W. Big W gets that move done on the Bredbank. And is he the one with the DRS? No, Bredbank is the one with that DRS. So DRS now wide open for the man in the Ferrari. Will Big W go defensive on the inside? It doesn't look as if he will just stick on the outside line, going in towards the hairpin. Now both side by side going in towards the hairpin. Bredbank brakes very late, parks it on the apex. Compromises Big W, although it doesn't look as if it's compromised in that much, as he's still side by side, and he's just going to have to slot in behind the Bredbank. So the Bredbank is really helping out Adri throughout this race. So about a 10-second gap. In fact, sorry, 11-second gap between Adri and Big W. So called out about a 16-second time for a pit stop. Adri now makes his way into the pits. Where will he come out in relation to all of these other guys? Mr. Wooter will now inherit the race lead. Of course, with him not having to make that stop as of yet. Same with the Bredbank and same with James. Adri is out behind these guys. Is he going to come out behind Dave, though? He has come out behind Dave. So Adri really has got some work to do on the set of the hard tyres. We've got a bit of a DRS train going on here with Bredbank leading this one. But Big W within that DRS now. Bredbank now goes defensive on the outside. A bit of a spin. Bredbank has now been spun. Aledi is also just almost caught up in that as well. I don't know what had happened there. But it looked like Big W just tagged the back of Bredbank. Apologies about that. But the Bredbank is round. And you've got to think there's going to be yet another stewards inquiry going in for Big W. As Bredbank has completely lost his wing. Gets a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits, even though he was off the track entirely. And he's now just holding up Cloudy Cloud. Bredbank gets out of the way of him there. Got no wing at all. As I said, you've got to think that's going to be yet another stewards inquiry going towards Big W's name for that one. But he has just set the fastest lap of the race, and Adri is still within that DRS range of Dave. Has he got that DRS open? No, he didn't. Very strange one. Adri not actually opening up that DRS. But he is all over the back of Dave. In fact, they are both lagging. And there we go. Andrew just gets past Dave like that. The Bredbank has decided to retire from the session. Adri and Dave are still both mounting each other, just showing their love for the league. Meanwhile, Aledi only 1.5 seconds. It still has that 1.5 second gap between him and Big W. As Craigie makes his way into the pits. This will be his second pit stop. Oh, Aledi actually goes too wide and goes into the gravel. Oh no. I don't know what happened there with Aledi. He just went straight into the gravel. I don't know if he locked up or what. That was a bit odd. That was very odd. But Mr. Muta and James are the ones that are still currently ones that need to pit along with Jasper, Cloudy, and Ibo. And same with these guys that are on the hard, that started on the hard, so Smitsky, Wukursk, and LFC. In fact, LFC didn't start on the hards, he started on the softs, but had to make that pit stop early. So he might actually try and take those hards to the end of the race. We'll keep an eye on LFC. Well, Kursk might also try and take these hards to the end of the race. Again, we'll have to keep our eye out on him. But James is closing up that gap to Mr. Wuta. It's now only 1.5 seconds, but James has maybe got to try and make that pit stop. He isn't going to make it as of yet, so he's going to try and probably do it on the next couple of laps. More than likely be around lap 20 he'll make that pit stop. But Smitsky makes his way into the pits. So the first of the hard runners that did, as I said, that started on the hards. In fact, he's one of the only ones, along with Dave, that started on the hards that have actually kept it out of trouble. He's going on the set of the mediums now. So we'll see where he ends up coming out in relation to the likes of Jasper and Cloudy Cloud. Where are the two alphas? They're just coming across the line now, coming up towards turn 1. And Smitsky is going to be slotted in behind the pair of them. But Cloudy Cloud picks himself up yet another 3-second time penalty. So we'll see where he ends up coming out. Because as I said, Cloudy Cloud and Jasper still have got to make their pit stops as well. James is now within that DRS range of Mr. Wuta, goes very wide coming out of turn 11. We did say to anyone that does that, and we need to try and slow down a little bit just so then they don't get penalised for it, but it doesn't look as if James is slowing down anytime soon. But is James coming in for that pit stop? No, he doesn't. In fact, Mr. Wuta comes in for that pit stop, however. So James is going to have to try and hammer in a time to try and best what to try and get out ahead of Mr. Wuta when it comes to that pit stop, the pit stop stage for him. But here we go, Mr. Wuta now coming out of the pits on a set of the medium compounds. Adri now already ahead of Mr. Wuta. Where will Mr. Wuta come? Will he come up behind his teammate? It looks as if he does. So I wonder if there'll be a bit of team orders coming into play with this one. But Big W now only 1.5 seconds behind James. Aledi has dropped back massively from Big W after going into the gravel. He's now 6.5 seconds behind him. And Adri is now only 2.5 seconds behind Aledi. Big W needs to come 4 higher in order for this championship battle to continue. Eduk is out of the race. Ivorbrin Mike isn't in the race. James, he's still got to make that pit stop. So in fact, I don't know why I completely forgot about James. Speaking of the devil, he makes his way into the pit. So Big W will now re-inherit that lead. And now he's just got to hope that penalties don't affect it. But I don't think I've actually seen him pick up a penalty as of yet. But where is James going to come out in relation to Mr. Wuta? Mr. Wuta is now just coming across the line. James is now just coming out of the pits. Here we go. This is going to be tight between the pair of them. I think James has actually managed to get the advantage over Mr. Wuta, but they're both on the set of the mediums as well. Mr. Wuta is obviously going to have the better run coming out of turn 1. He did look to go for a dive, but didn't opt to do so. So both of these on a set of the mediums. James has done well to actually stay out ahead of Mr. Wuta. But DRS now open for the man in the Mercedes. Goes around the outside of him, towards the inside, sorry, going around to outside. James gives up that place and just slots into P5. But is looking to see if he can have the better run coming out of that hairpin. And it doesn't look as if it's hampered him at all. So Mr. Wuta, good job on getting up into P4. James does break a bit late and locks up, so he's going to compromise his run as well. So Mr. Wuta now up into P4. Good going from him. Dave and Wukursk also having a bit of a scrap. Dave managing to get past. So it's a Haas and Mercedes versus a Haas and Mercedes. Or the Haas versus the Mercedes, should I say, entirely. And it looks like one Haas has come out on top, one Mercedes has come out on top. As Wukursk goes into the gravel a bit and the dirt, Mr. Wuta sets himself the fastest lap of the race. But James is going to have that DRS on the Mercedes, so will he be able to make that way and get past him once again? coming out of turn 5. Coming up to turn 5, shall I say. DRS is open for the man in the Haas. He is gaining on him slightly, but I don't think it will be close enough to make a move. It doesn't look like it was close enough to make that move, but he does look like he's got the better exit coming out of turn 5, and he looks like he's still gaining on him. Will we go for a move going in towards turn 7? Mr. Whitwick does cover off that inside. James opting to try and see if he can go around the outside, tries to go for a switch back on the man in the Mercedes. Still tussling in between the pair of them, and Mr. Whitwick just holds on to P4. It was very good defending from the Dutchman. Now up into P4, and all of this is helping Adri to try and secure that championship. Dave and Wakursk are still both battling, and Wakursk goes up into P7. So once again, both Mercedes are now coming out on top of the two Hasses. And Smitsky is now all over the back of Dave as well. Oh, James almost breaking into the back of Mr. Whitwer. It is going to compromise his run for that lead up to turn 5. Yeah, you can see he's well away, well behind him already. Dave picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. Jasper broke very, not Jasper, sorry, James broke very late coming up to the hairpin. Once again, has compromised his run. And Mr. Wuta is now just going to try and start building that gap up even more to the man in the Haas. Meanwhile, the other battle with the Mercedes and the other Haas, or the other Mercedes and the other Haas, shall I say, along with Smitsky in that battle as well for P7. We'll see where this takes the pair of them. Oh, Mr. Wakursk, sorry, looks like he got a bit of a bad exit coming out of turn 1. Has compromised his run, and Dave is looking like he is close to trying to get an overtake done on the man in the Mercedes. Will he be able to get a move done going towards turn 5? The RS is open for Dave. He is gaining on him. Wakursk goes defensive on the outside, but is not close enough to go for a move. A little bit of contact between the pair of them, but Dave is just going to have to slot in behind Wakursk for now. And Dave now down is going to have to remain in P8, but he has got that other Renault just behind him. Now building up that pressure. Meanwhile, Adri has now just managed to always catch up to Aledi in that DRS zone. You got to think as well, those two guys on the mediums are going to be starting to catch up to these guys on the hards, especially considering that they're on softer compounds. And their tyres are fresher than the guys up ahead of them. Adri hasn't got that DRS to Aledi, but he is starting to gain in that DRS. Meanwhile, James is in that DRS of Mr. Wuta. Will he be able to opt to go for a move this time, going up towards turn 5? Mr. Wuta did look to go a bit defensive. James does have a massive lock-up going in towards turn 4, and that is James having to stay down in P5, although it looks like he may try and go for a move like he did before, but Mr. Wuta does opt to cover off the inside. Bit of a switchback for James. Now they are both side by side going towards turn 10. Will James go for a move around the outside of turn 10? He does do that. What a move from James. And that's Mr. Woodward now down into P5. James now into P4, and he's looking to see if he can try and charge down these guys that's just up ahead of him. So what a move from the man in the Haas. It was good defending from Mr. Woodward, but it didn't look like it was enough. Meanwhile, Adri is still not in that DRS of Aledi. Did just cut turn 1 massively there. So he's definitely picked up a warning for that one. Is he in that DRS? He is in that DRS, so he is going to have the advantage to try and catch up to Aledi. He won't be able to gain on him in this lap, but he's going to be closer at least, coming up towards turn 5. Meanwhile, this battle for P4 still not slowing down by any means. James covering off the inside from Mr. Wooter. Mr. Wooter didn't look like he was actually close enough to getting a move done on James, so he's just going to have to stay in P5. As I said though, Adri is sort of hovering around that DRS gap between him and Aledi. So once again, that's one that we'll have to keep our eyes on. Kursk and Dave as well. Smitsky's been lost by these two a little bit, so Smitsky's going to have to try and make his way up a bit more if he wants to try and have any chance of keeping with these guys. But these guys are actually now catching up to the back of LFC. And with LFC being on 23 lap old tyres on the hards, and with Kursk, Dave and Smitsky all being on the set of the mediums, you got to think LFC is going to be in a bit of trouble here. As Kursk is all over the back of LFC as well. As LFC actually makes his way into the pits. So LFC, I think, is opting to go for a set of the softs and may even try and go for that fastest lap. Ivo is on the set of the softs as well. So far the man with the fastest lap is Big W, as LFC gets a 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane. Not something he would have wanted to happen. But as I said, I think he's going to try and go for that fastest lap. Remember, it is the top 12 that do end up getting that fastest lap. But this battle for P6 doesn't show any signs of slowing down either. Is Dave going to be able to get a move done on Kursk? He opts to go for the inside. Kursk gives him the room on the inside. Both now side by side going through turn 5. Kursk gets a much better traction out of that corner, and that is Kursk staying in P6. Dave now remaining down in P7. Meanwhile, Jasper and LFC both having their battle going through turn 5. I think LFC managed to get past Jasper, and Jasper's now going to have to just stay down in P10. LFC into P9. And LFC is going to be making an absolute charge to try and get that fastest lap. But Adri looks like he's lost a bit of time to Aledi up ahead. He was within that DRS range, now he's dropped down to 1.3 seconds. I'm not too sure about the penalty situation either, and to be honest with you, I don't want to actually have a look at it. Always do this with the stream, never look at the penalties. We get that surprise at the very end of the race. Meanwhile, there are yellows in Sector 3. Who is that? Is that Jasper? No, Cloudy Cloud, doesn't look like it. Ibo? No, not Craigie either. I don't know who that was. Oh, it looks like it was actually... No, it wasn't Jasper. Was it LFC? No, it doesn't look as if it was. I don't know who it was then. No idea. There we go. Adri is now back within that 1 second gap of Aledi. He hasn't got the DRS because he must have passed that activation zone before it got to that point. And Aledi is looking very quick in a straight line. So Adri is going to struggle to try and keep up with Aledi, as I said, within that straight line. Coming up towards turn 5, Aledi is making up time, as you can see. But it is about this battle as well for P4, Mr. Wooter and James. James does stay out ahead of Mr. Wooter at the moment. And Kursk looks like he's already actually built out that gap between himself and Dave. LFC does pick up that fastest lap doing a 14.6, so good going from the man in orange, the reserve driver as well. But Adri is now looking like he is solidified in that DRS zone. Here we go, DRS now open for the Spaniard in the Renault. He is closing up to him. So this could be the move. Can Adri get past Eddie going up towards turn 5? He is closer than ever. And I know Adri does love a bit of straight line speed, but it also looks like Eddie loves a bit of straight line speed. Here we go. DRS now open for the man in the man in the Renault. We'll be able to get a move done going towards turn 5. He is gaining on him, but he doesn't look as if he's close enough. He is just going to have to opt to stay behind Eddie for now. But in the coming laps, we may see that change. Meanwhile, James still staying out ahead of Mr. Wooter for P4. And Wakursk and Dave are, well, Wakursk has actually built that 1 second gap out from Dave. So Wakursk is looking like he will end up finishing in P6. But as I said, I'm not too sure how penalties are faring. As Adri picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. Not something that he would have wanted, because as I said, I don't know if Aledi has actually got any penalties. If he does, then it is all track position. If he doesn't, then Adri has got a task to do. If he wants that P2 spot. But also with these guys on the mediums behind them, they're going to be catching up with these guys on the hards. So he's got to try and make that up, along with trying to stay in that out of that 3-second gap between himself and those medium runners. But here we go. Adri now, DRS wide open. He is in overtake mode. DRS open. He's probably running it in high revs as well. Here we go. Adri, where he is gaining on Aledi, behind, just up ahead of him. Is he going to go for that move? Aledi opts to defend the inside line. Aledi does have a massive lock-up though. That's going to compromise his run. Adri now going towards the inside of the racing point. They're still side by side, and Adri is now up into P2. Meanwhile, in the background, Mr. Wooter does manage to go around the outside of James, going in towards a hairpin. What a move from the man in the Mercedes. James now down into P5. Adri now up into P2. This is where the championship is now really starting to take a turn. And now with Adri picking that up, he's got to try and take out that 3-second gap between himself and Aledi. But not only that, with himself and the guys on the mediums. Meanwhile, James has actually spun. James is in the wall. I mean, he doesn't look as if it's going to be close enough for Wakursk to try and overtake him. But James now... He looked like he was set for a P5, maybe even P4, but with that spin, James, he's going to have to stay with P5, and he may even have these guys in that are behind him try and catch up to him. So this is bad news for the man in the Haas. Meanwhile, Aledi, with that straight line speed, looking like he's quicker than Adri's. Here we go. Aledi opts to go for the move down the inside of the Spaniard, up towards the hairpin. Aledi does hold that inside line, and I think that is Aledi up into P2. So he does manage to get that place back on Adri, and you've got to think Adri's best that he probably can settle for is going to be in P3. As I said, it depends if Aledi's got any penalties of his own. I'm not too sure if he does. Don't think I've actually seen any pop up. But if I'm not mistaken as well, I think James has got a couple penalties under his belt. Adri would need to try and push on. I think it is going to roll over to Abu Dhabi. That is the next race. So yeah, Abu Dhabi, as I said, being that next race. I think Adri is going to have to probably try and make that win at... yeah, at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But with this now being the closest battle on track, it was that battle for P4. But Mr. Wooter now in clear air. You got to think he's got to start trying to catch up to these guys on the mediums. If he gets within that 3-second gap of Adri, then Adri actually may not even finish on the podium. And Mr. Wooter, despite starting down all the way, I think it was in like 12th or 13th, will be on the podium. But here we go. Adri is still sticking all over the back of Aledi going through turn sector 2 and sector 3. Aledi's car is just looking like a bit of a battering ram at the moment with the straight line speed that he's got. There's Mr. Wooter in the background. Adri cannot allow Aledi to hold him up. That gap's now 3 seconds. We are coming onto the final lap now. Will Mr. Wooter be able to get past Adri? Adri makes a bit of a mistake coming out of the final corner. He is still within that DRS range and still having that 3-second gap between him and Mr. Wooter, but Mr. Wooter has got to make that push if he wants any chance of doing well and getting on that podium. Here we go though, DRS now open for Adri. He has got a lot of ERS saved up, so here we go. Aledi now opting to go keep the inside line towards the hairpin. Aledi does brake late as well. A bit of a lock up, doesn't hit the back of Adri. He manages to actually just avoid that. Aledi now down into P3, Adri up into P2. And with that gap being 3.2 seconds still, Adri may still just be on the podium, but Aledi is not giving up. He is still pushing to try and get ahead of the Spaniard. I think there's a bit of contact there going through turn 9 and turn 10. But that's now 2.7 seconds. Is Adri actually going to be able to keep this podium? But here we go. I'm not going to miss it. Big W now making his way across the line. He has made that redemption from last week. Congratulations to Big W for actually getting his first win now in the League of Europe. Adri does finish second. Aledi does finish ahead of him. Adri did miss out on the podium. 0.063 seconds. So this title fight will still carry on and will go over to Abu Dhabi. James, it was unfortunate for him. He did look like he was having a good performance. The best he is going to have to settle is for P5. Well, Kursk had quite a few penalties. Will Dave finish ahead of him? He doesn't. Will Smitsky finish ahead of him though? No, he doesn't. He stays in P8. LFC does finish in P9, but will that stick in P9? Everybody you saw was just sort of swerving at the back then. Does Jasper overtake him on penalties? He's only missed out by a 10th. A lot of these penalties are so close. So close. But what a drive. I've definitely got to give my driver a day. It's either going to be the Big W or Mr. Wooter. I'm probably going to have to give that to Mr. Wooter. What a drive from him. As I said, starting down in 12th, 13th position and making his way all the way up into the podium. Kept it clean throughout. I definitely have to say it's got to go to Mr. Wooter. Big W was a close second though, because he did look like he was dominating that race the entire way. But there you go. There is your final classifications for the German Grand Prix around the Hockenheim Ring. You have got Big W making, I think that is actually his first win of the League of Europe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that is Big W's first win. So congratulations to Big W for getting his first win in the League of Europe. Aledi finishing in P2. Despite going into the gravel, he did have a decent drive. That is his best finishing position now. It is unfortunate because he was on for a race win, but good result nonetheless. Mr. Wooter finishing on the last step of the podium. As I said, starting from 12th place. What a drive from him. Adri finishing in P4 despite having that penalty. It was so close. Unfortunate for the Spaniard, but that title race does carry on to Abu Dhabi. James finishing in P5, Kursk finishing in 6th, Dave finishing in 7th, Smitsky 8th, LFC in 9th, Jasper in 10th, Cladicard finishing in 11th, Ibo rounding out that final points finish, Craigie finishing in P13, and our non-finishers were the Bread Bank, Heated, Ghost Recon, I can't remember who else didn't finish, Frey and Eduk. So Eduk now out of this title fight. The only two that are still left in it. Well, three, should I say, that are still left in it. Is Big W, James, and Adri. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate you guys watching the streams. We all do appreciate you guys watching the streams and stuff like that as well. Once again, thank you very much for joining me. And we will catch you next week for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.